So here's an example of a branching scenario that's kind of an illusion. So you go in here and you pick an option and you get a feedback or something happens, and then they all end up on this same feedback delivered screen. So I wanted to build something in Genially that was a true branching scenario where the end result genuinely depends on the choices you made along the way. So let me show you the finished version. So for this example, I did the very classic scenario about giving feedback to a colleague who missed a deadline. Just very much used a situation every manager and trainer has probably been through. So I did kind of an office theme just to make it more fun. Included some audio. Can't mimic it exactly, but we'll click begin and we'll walk through a scenario. So here's what's going down, and then you'll start the conversation. And so we'll walk through a scenario, and it does kind of the office theme where they are being interviewed in the background just to make it more fun. And we'll say this one, and the conversation's wrapping up. How do we close? And we get this final slide showing your command style is clear but at a cost. So this is the final result of that complete branch scenario. So let's try it again, only we're going to do completely different answers. So we'll say we want to do this one, and he's got a completely different response. And we'll say we want to be more direct again, and then maybe do this answer. And so now our final result is completely different and based off of the branches that the user actually made. So 2 different learners, 2 different final results. So I will show you how I built this. So I used Claude AI to help me do the branching scenario and just give me a full breakdown. And so I wanted to have this completely planned out before opening Genially and doing all of the combinations. So there was 1 intro slide, a decision screen, 2 bridge slides, and so 8 possible results. So about 20 slides total. So I did this first using Claude to help me just kind of break it down. So in the back end, I made it as simple as possible by trying to do very much the similar slides. So the 4 core slides were obviously the intro slides with the similar backgrounds. And then I did my opening choice with him at his desk. And then the branching scenarios, I just did a different background and I would just change his expression. So I only had like 4 core background slides total, and then my ending result slides for design purposes to make it simple. And once I had those 4 designs looking right, I just duplicated them and swapped the text and his expressions. If you're curious what I used for the photos, I used FreePic and did image generation in that. And it seems to be pretty good about generating similar characters and decent backgrounds. And then I just followed the rest of the office theme for the design. Once I had everything built and duplicated based off of my branching scenarios from my decision tree, I was able to then go into each of these branching scenarios. This is the interactive questions, branching scenario decision point in Genially. And I just used that to then make it where these decisions go to the correct location based off of my mind map. So this would go to page 8 and page 9. And so I had 8 possible scenarios. And then also using Claude, I kind of branched those out and then made sure that each of these worked. So I had 8 different options, and so I wanted to make sure that 8 options were still possible. So I ran each scenario to make sure it worked. I will say one thing that tripped me up when I did this build was if you have it where this is on random order and then you try to do the build, it was like, why is this going to the wrong end result? And it was because I had it on random order, and so I was trying to use it based off my mind map and not really reading the questions because I wanted to go really fast. And so I had to turn that part off in order to make sure I had all 8 scenarios so that I could quickly go through this decision, this decision. So there's 3 decisions and then the 8 results towards the end. One thing I did also add, which kind of made it a little confusing, was the opening and the first 2 slides, I should say, of my scenario. But then towards the end on my pages, you'll see all of my end results, and I coded them with basically all the different scenarios. So AA, AAB, ABA. So like based off of the 3 different decisions they have to make, that was the end result. So that was decision A, decision A, decision A, and then AAB, and then so forth. And again, I had Claude help me kind of map those out. So with Genially, you use these branching scenarios and it just goes slide to slide. There's no variables, but at the same time, it's still very effective. I would just say, keep your decisions pretty minimal in each build. That way it's not overwhelming and you're not creating tons of slides. So I would say don't overbranch. So 3 decision points gave me 8 outcomes, which is around the 20 slides, and so forth and so on. So I think going too heavy on your branching can make it very confusing very fast. I would also say definitely use AI to help you so that you don't miss any scenarios or branches that could have been accounted for. I will put the link to this template in the description, and I'll also add it to the Genially community for others to use. Go play through it yourself, try different paths, see how the feedback changes. Let me know if you see any mistakes that I might have made. But yeah, drop a comment and feel free to share. And I will see you in the next Genially build.